To discuss an interesting topic which is blockchain implementation of school administration. So let's start. So before jumping into the topic, let us first understand what blockchain is. So blockchain in short is a type of linked list which is used to encrypt our data and keep it safe from any type of intruders. So let us take an example. So what blockchain does is that here you can see a linked list example, and here every single data is pointing to the next data using the memory address of that data. Now if we want to encrypt any type of data and want to add some security for this, then we can utilize this concept into blockchain, and here the work is like that we save the hash map for the next data using the previous data and compute that up. So whenever if the third element is getting accessed by any type of hacker or something like that, that person needs to decrypt that up, and for decrypting that data they need to access the first element. So for first element access they need to decrypt the second data and then go to first data, like that way. So in case of n data, then they need to iterate till the nth times and get the access to that data to understand what the data is. Now why do we need this type of security for school administration? So as we all know that our school data is very beneficial. So if you want to check what are the important data for any type of school administration, like that way, so your board certificates and your certifications of your graduation level are very important, and they need to be saved in a right way. If they get into wrong hands, then there can be wrong use of that type of data, and you should be the one who should have the whole control over the data. So it is important that these type of security methods are used for this type of data, so that no hacker can get access to this type of vital data. Now how blockchain really works. So here you can see an image where we have shown how this process would be working. So the first block of the blockchain is known as the Genesis block. Now what Genesis block means is that the first linked list would have the previous hash as 0 because there is no element before that. So the current hash would be directly computed based on the previous hash, which is 0, like that way. Now if you want to calculate the second hash, then we will be using the current hash of that first element for computing the second element, and for the same goes with third. For the third element we will be using the second hash, which is being computed based on the first hash, which means that there is a whole new cycle of data which is running here. And if anyone want to access any type of data in between, they need to get them up till the first element and go till that nth element, like that way, which is of course in today's state is impossible, because if in real time we check, there are thousands of transactions getting ahead in today's date, and getting access to all the transactions is not possible. Now let us move to the next slide. Now let us discuss how the algorithm of that blockchain would be working here. So for the algorithm part of the blockchain, we would be using SHA-256 algorithm. Now what it does is that here we use a bits of A to G, and here every single bit are of length of 32 bits. Now if you are familiar with DES and AES algorithms, then you might be familiar that there are rounds in that type of algorithms. So here also there is this process, we would be going through 64 rounds. Now that means that every single process that we are doing for encryption of that data is being computed 64 times, and each round is being computed based on the previous round, which means that the first round, the output of that first round would be used for computing the second round, and that way it would go till the 64th element, which is of course another tough thing for any type of hacker to decrypt that up. Now let us discuss how many type of modules would be used for this type of encryption data. So here every single hashing algorithm would have 2 to the power 32 SHA-256 data, which means that SHA-256, here the 256 is the data length of that bit. So yeah, every single data would be having 256 bits. Now I know that these type of things are not too much into non-technical person, so I know most of our viewers are not from technical people. So I would be discussing these type of things so that non-technical people can also get the idea what we are doing here. So here is the whole workflow for this type of systems. Firstly, any type of student who is like using this type of system would have to like log in into the system. Then after that they would be getting one option to apply to any type of new university. Now in real time applications, if you have any type of certificates like your board certificates and all, you want to set them up with your university, right? There is no other organization that needs that type of data other than your recruiter or the university people. Other people don't should not get the access to that type of data, right? So here we are taking the case of university for now. So if the student is like applying for the new university, then the new university gets a request from the old university. Now here the case is that like the student has already given the access to the old university, right? So the old university would be getting the request that the new university want to check that type of data. So of course if you are like moving from 10th to 12th, so the old university would be like the 10th standard and the new university would be like the 12th standard. The 12th standard want to access the certificate of 10th standard to verify if the student has clearly passed the exam or not. Now here the case is that they would get the access, and then here we would be using digital signature for every type of verification. Like that type of organization who is like claiming to be that university is the right person or not. So I would be discussing that digital signature in the next slide, but for now I am just giving the idea about that. Now here digital signature is, I would keep this short enough. So digital signature in today's date in the internet is your identity. So every single person in the internet has an identity other than your IP addresses. So digital signature is what we use in today's date for your identity purpose. Here is a picture of database which we will be using, like you can go through it and get an idea about this thing. And yeah, like I think I have got the idea, I have given you the idea that what we will be doing in the implementation. And yeah, thank you.